I'm Amber, and I want to introduce you to the guest that we're having on here this week. This is my good friend Jenny.
Hi.
And Lily.
Hey, hi,
she might be walking in and out of the video, but we're having her with us. We're keeping it real.
Yep.
So we had a reader ask us to talk about adoption, and I was kind of like praying about it, and I mean instantly I thought we got to have Jenny Brown up on these videos because she has totally got it going on in that area. You know, she's involved in the foster care system and the adoption arena. She works for, or she's got Sawyer's Run, what she's going to tell us about that she runs. And so I just kind of want to start off, Jenny, with having you tell us a little bit about your story.
So, 2010, I had 2 daughters, and we were pregnant with our third. It was a boy, and ended up having a stillborn. And he was just before viability, 23 weeks, and obviously devastating. I was sick throughout the whole thing, and they said, just get to 24 weeks, and we didn't make it that far, so I had a stillborn. And actually, not many people know, but right after that, I got pregnant again, just a few weeks later. Oh, Lily! And I got pregnant again, and only lasted a few weeks, and same thing happened again with the hemorrhaging, and you know, I remember vividly sitting in the parking lot of the hospital, Royal Oak, Beaumont, and the Lord just saying, no more children, this is not my way for you, become a foster parent. And so, growing up, I have 8 adopted siblings. So,
oh geez, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it was not a difficult process for me, and you know, I have such a great husband that just encourages me to spread my wings, and so we did that together. We became foster parents, and took about 6 months, and before we were even licensed, got our first call with a 22-month-old, which is now our 3rd child, Maya. So,
which that had to be like total confirmation from the Lord that He actually, in fact, did say that.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember where I was when I got the call. I was at Dutton Farm, which is where I work, in the garden area, and I remember like it was yesterday. They called about a 22-month-old that had nowhere to go. Can she come stay with you? And absolutely.
That's great. So now, Sawyer's Run was kind of inspired by that story.
That Sawyer was our son. Yep, he was our stillborn son, and we were sitting in the hospital room, and I'm weeping and sobbing and, you know, hysterical. This is my son, this is my child, and, you know, what could the Lord have, you know, how is this His good? Okay. So, I'm in the hospital room, and I'm devastated, and I know that the Lord is good, and I know His character is sound, and He is faithful, and He's got our best interest at heart, so I knew somehow that the Lord's good was supposed to be in this. And I'm a very type A, get up and do something personality. I'm not a good patient person. Fruits of the Spirit don't come easy for me a lot of the times. I'm very, I don't know what the right word is, but very active. If there's a problem, I like to fix it. And so we sat there in the hospital room, and Brent, my husband, just said, we can do a run. Sawyer's Run, and knew that there'd be a purpose to my pain because He knows me inside and out. And so that day we started planning.
That's amazing.
Yep.
And so that is Sawyer's Run is like a 5K, right?
It's a 5K. Yep. And and we didn't even know this in the hospital room, but all of the proceeds go to benefit kids in the foster care system. And we have a special needs race pre the 5K. So there's the 5K run, and there's prizes for whoever brings the biggest team, like a team River, a team Amber, a team Woodside, whatever.
Team Grace every day.
Team Grace every day, right. And then there's prizes for whoever wins, and there's goodie bags to bring home, and then there's the special needs race in the beginning. And so it's a really, really cool event. We'll have face painting this year, and we already have like 4 or 5 times the registrants that we've had last year.
Wow.
So yeah, it's gonna be a pretty big deal. The open press is gonna be there.
That's awesome. We'll have links below to
Box 2 Detroit.
Oh really? Yeah. Sweet. Well, I'm gonna have links below this post to give people more information, take them to the website. Okay. And I have to say, I'm glad that it's gonna be that there's a prize for the biggest group and the one that wins, because I know I definitely want win. It's going to be more like a Sawyer's Walk for me.
And there's also raffle prizes, so we're going to have a lot of different foster agencies there that we know are good agencies, because there's a lot of shady agencies out there that are all about the bottom line and don't care about the kids. And so agencies we know are good agencies like Bethany and Lutheran Child and Family Services and things like that, and they'll have prizes at all of their tables. So if you go up and sign your name, then you'll be a part of that raffle, and then there's a chance to win the prize that way.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. That's really cool. Well, I wanted you to kind of maybe touch on a little bit about people who are thinking about maybe going into doing foster care and or adopting. What kind of advice would you give them maybe in preparation for thinking about doing it, or if they've already decided they're going to do it and, transitioning from, maybe not having any kids to all of a sudden having a couple kids that are older, and as a mom, what kind of role that it's important for you to play?
Okay. So, to get started in the foster care adoption arena, it's not easy. It's very, very rewarding. You have to be able to, as a mom, because you're in the thick of it most of the time. I mean, you're going to be the one that's changing a pee-soaked bed for the 100th time. But then you also get to see that child slowly being redeemed and that child slowly healing and that broken heart softening. And it's probably my biggest thing that I have learned throughout it, because I've made so many mistakes with Maya. I know you know Maya, my daughter. She came real traumatized, and obviously God's grace has just covered so many of my mistakes. But to just be consistent. You're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna yell when you shouldn't. You're gonna run out of patience. You're gonna say, I can't do this anymore. This is so frustrating. But in all of that, if you don't give up and they see that they have pushed you to the absolute brink of your sanity, and you go, you regroup, you take the time that you need, and you get back, and you don't give up on them. No matter what,
awesome.
You are in it.
Yes.
You're in this family, and I'm committed to you, thick or thin. And as they start to see that over time, then the behaviors start to fall away, because they know that there's nothing they can do that's going to push you away from them. That's because awesome. They're so afraid of the rejection that they're going to push you away first.
Sure.
And they're going to sabotage the relationship that you have because they felt that rejection and they know they can't go through that again. And so once they know that nothing they can do can sabotage what you have committed to them, I think that would be my biggest advice, is just don't give up on them.
That is
no
so
matter
great.
what. Mess up, screw up, lose your patience, say something you wish you wouldn't have said, but stay in it and don't give up.
I know you, and I know that it has to be a reflection of your relationship with the Lord. Because as you're saying this, I'm just thinking, what a picture of God and His people. There's nothing we can do that's going to make Him go away. And just even as a mom, I'm sure as you get to know that more and get that revelation, it's easier to probably project that into your family. I'm sure it ties into that, because I know.
Oh, absolutely, just the things that just like with Christ, the things that you do, and yet He still extends His grace. Yet He still doesn't say, I've had enough. You're not a part of this anymore. You're not a part of this family. And you are just telling it right.
That's right.
And I've had situations with my daughter Maya, who was traumatized, where she's, just done things that she was sure were just unforgivable. And I could see the sadness in her face, and yet although what she's done deserves discipline, and I get down and I just wash it away and pretend like it didn't happen and just pull her up on my lap and just hold her, it does so much more than even, and sometimes it calls for discipline, but that grace that you extend to the child does so much more than anything, the discipline, any of that.
Okay, so one other quick question that I just keep having come to my mind. What about, how does the family dynamic go with you having your own children, and then you have the adopted children, as far as making them feel like they're equal or treating them equally? What do you have to say about that, an advice for?
I would say you definitely have to be intentional, and you have to be very aware, because and all personalities are different. I mean, Maya, just her personality, my daughter was was not one that easily bounced back, and there's a lot of kids that just roll with the punches and bounce back pretty easily. But you have to just be vigilant in making the foster or adopted child feel part of the family. You're going to have, you know, a lot more compliments and a lot more just intentional, you know, hugging and kissing and sitting on the lap. And then as far as your biological children, making sure that they don't carry any of the baggage that the child brought into the home. So making sure they still stay carefree and light. And if there's a situation, you know, any kind of intense situation, that you do it away from your own children. If the child is struggling that day or something, just removing them quietly, giving them some books and something else to do, and just, you know, they're a little bit tired today, let's just be patient, you know, and whatever. And so kind of separating when you need to, but you just have to be very intentional.
Okay, so what is the need for more foster care families, people willing to work with the foster care system? What kind of need is there?
So Michigan is 42nd out of 50 states for one of the worst for quality foster care.
Wow.
So we moved from 48 to 42nd, so we were improving a little bit, but Michigan has a very broken system. And there's thousands of children, foster children in Oakland County alone, thousands and thousands, that are in either residential placement in foster homes or are not placed in a home yet.
Now, are these kids actually from like the Oakland County?
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
That's not even with Wayne County, and that's the number off the top of my head, but I know it's a shockingly large number. But foster parents, Christian believing foster parents are so important because Satan has these for generations. These kids, that they get traumatized and they turn from victims into predators, and he considers them his territory. So you have to be on your guard when you're walking into his territory and you're taking something that he thought was his and that he already had signed, sealed, delivered their mind. They're not going to be redeemable. Yeah. And so the biggest need is for Christian foster parents to get involved in some sort of capacity. Even if you don't become a foster parent, be a support system for foster parents, or help pay for somebody to be on a basketball team for a foster child in a home, or volunteer in a residential home, and just be that spiritual aspect that is so needed for children in the foster care system, because they're so racked with the spiritual battle over their lives is intense. It's very intense.
Yeah, I remember you telling me some stories about with my aunt. And then we've got Lily here. This is one that you want to tell about her, just how God's opened that door to...
With Lily, she came to us as a 3-month-old infant, and yes,
she's
talking all about you. Yeah. And her mom is, she was hospitalized because of some abuse that she had endured, and I took her into my home and not having any clue what the Lord had in mind, and I thought this is going to be termination for sure. She was on a feeding tube. It was pretty intense, and the Lord just brought her mom and I together in just the most miraculous way. I remember the check in my spirit. We were at a doctor's visit together, and she didn't want to go to her mom. She was screaming. She was like 4 or 5 months old, and the Lord just checked me like, she needs me too, the mom. She needs Jesus too. And you're not just here to save Lily, and it's not about you. It's about me carrying out my plan for Carol, who is the mom, as well as Lily. And you're just a vessel, and you need to be used by me and not try to do it your way. And so she was with us for about 9 or 10 months. The mom just did a miraculous turnaround and got her stuff together and got Lily back. Now case is closed, and I babysit her all the time. And Mom just trusts me, knowing I'm not trying to, take her, because that's God's plan, is for a child to be with their mom.
Sure.
And if that's ever a possibility, you need to go with it. And so we're great friends, and she's not a believer yet. She grew up in the foster care system.
Oh, did she?
Yep, she aged out of the foster care system, so she's, you know, she's not there yet, but her heart is so softened, and I'm building that relationship and able to present Jesus to her, and way
That's
more
awesome.
than I thought that, you know, originally. God's plans are so much better.
And
than
they're always,
ours.
and a lot of times they're just so much higher and different than we would ever plan. But you know,
so much better.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, lastly, I want to just kind of end with this. If you want to get involved in foster care system, you know, what would be the first steps that you'd take? And I know below this we're going to list the agencies that you recommend. But let's just say someone was thinking about it. What would you suggest to them how to get started?
I would find somebody that you trust, Christian man, woman, somebody that's in the system that knows it, because there's a lot of ins and outs, and there's a lot of different workers, and it's like a whole different language, a whole different world. And you know, you can even list my email address, and just start researching and asking questions, and look at a couple of the agencies that Amber lists, and just research and find out more information and ask the questions and count the cost of what you're willing to give up and what you're willing to do and not do, and the dynamics of your family already, and then as you get your ducks in a row that way, and then, you know, go through the licensing process, which the agency will help you do, and then once you become licensed, you can always say yes or no.
That's awesome. Okay, that's great. Well, the one thing that I was thinking, and you know, I guess before, I'm sure you and Brent, before you took this big step, that you probably prayed a lot and just made sure that that was what God was saying, because God definitely has a call on everybody's life, and you obviously were called into this system. I mean, very clearly, He actually told you you're going to be involved. So I know that, you know, I know people, I've talked to people who are interested in getting involved. I know they've prayed about it, and you know, God always will confirm. He'll lead you down that path, and
You'll know.
And if He calls you to it, He's going to provide and encourage you, and you know, give you the tools that you need, and send people your way. And but anyways, I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on here and just kind of like opening our eyes a little bit to what's going on. And you know, maybe if you guys come out to Sawyer's Run, you can meet Jenny and talk to her a little bit more.
I would love to. It's my pleasure.
And thank you. I hope you guys have a good week.